Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I am Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and I will look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are going to review Monsterland, which is a new TV show coming to Hulu on October 2nd, I believe. I'm going to correct myself if I'm wrong here shortly, but it is a new series coming out on Hulu, 8 episodes long. So we're going to get into it. We're going to give our first impression of the series. We're going to talk about it. We won't get into each and every episode because we're going to try to keep this under a half hour. And then we'll wrap up giving our final thoughts, our score, and our favorite scene among those episodes. So hang out for that. That's the fun part. You want to hear what our favorite scenes were. We're going to start off with our first impressions. And Jeff Mohr, you're up first.
Roger, Dodger. I like this a lot. I watched all 8 of these. Every one of them had a what I would call a what's the matter?
Oh, you broke up just a bit.
You were just cutting out.
Yeah. Oh no!
I don't know what to do. I have a good connection, but this ain't working.
All right, technical difficulties because we can hear Jeff.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep going.
Well, there was a pause or something. So I watched all 8 episodes. I liked them a lot. Every single one of them had a what I would call a WTF, maybe even multiple WTFs in it. But every one of them had an ending that was, I would actually kind of call off the wall. Sometimes it was hard to tell what it had to do with the rest of the story, but for some reason they hit me right, and I enjoyed every one of them. There's some pretty good directors in here, directors with some horror cred. I saw Craig William McNeil did the one for New Orleans. He's the guy that directed Lizzie and The Boy. And not the boy that was the puppet, but the boy with David Morse a few years ago that I thought was a pretty good movie. Nicholas Pesky did one. He's Eyes of My Mother, and Piercing.
Ooh.
And then that was number 5, the one that was in Plainfield, Illinois. And he also did one, I think, because it says for the Texas episode, it says directed by Nick Pesky, which I don't know.
Presume it's the same guy, right?
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe son, brother, I don't know. Nick, which is kind of a mermaid one. That one was pretty cool. Kelly Marie Tran stars in episode 7, from Star Wars. She played Rose in the recent Star Wars. And the last one is directed by Babak Anvari, who did Under the Shadow and Wounds that we did Wounds, reviewed last year, and we liked that. And stars Mike Colder from what's the Netflix? Luke Cage, yeah, on the Marvel series. So anyway,
he's on Evil now for NBC.
Oh, he is. I like this a lot. I liked every one of them. Did I know what point they were trying to get across? I don't know. Not every time, but I just liked it because it was wacko. I didn't know what was going to happen. The acting was great. Taylor Schilling is in one too. From
I love her.
New Black.
Yes.
And she is phenomenal in that episode. So I don't know. I'll just stop jabbering. I dug them. They're not, and there is a very strange connection that Caitlin Deaver?
Got a ring.
Caitlin Deaver is in 3 different episodes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
As I think sort of the same person, but not exactly the same person. So
interesting.
Kind of weird.
All right. Well, I totally went off script and fell off of the format. I forgot to throw up the card. So let's do that. We'll get to you just a second, Crystal. What are we talking about? We are talking about Monsterland coming to Hulu. There it is, October 2nd. I got it right. It's an 8-part anthology series. The directors are Desiree Akavan, Babak Anvari, Eagle Son. That's an awesome name. Logan Kibbins, Craig William McNeil, Nick Pesky, and Nicholas Pesky, but I just put Nick. Kevin Phillips and Anne Sewitsky. It's written by Alia Brown, Amelia Kazmarek. There you go. Scott Kozer, Mary Laws, Wesley Strick. And the cast includes a whole bunch of people. We'll get in. We kind of went into that. But it's encounters with Gothic beasts, falling angels, werewolves, broken people are driven to desperate acts in an attempt to repair their lives, ultimately showing there is a thin line between man and beast. The monsters in this, if I were to guess, are usually end up being the people, not the supernatural creatures, right? So, and each episode is named for a city, and I like that aspect of it. All right, Crystal, give us your first impression of the television series Monsterland.
Well, I agree with Jeff. I really enjoy. Okay, so I have to be full disclosure. I didn't have time to watch them all. I watched a few, and what I did watch, I really did enjoy. I'm going to watch the rest of them. Actually, I can't believe I missed the mermaid one. I'm gonna beat myself up for that one. But the acting is great. There is like a cool tone to the way these are shot. At least the ones that I watched, they almost like have a cool wash, like a muted tone. It kind of reminds me in a small degree of like the way The Ring was shot. Not quite to that extent. I know this seems like a small thing, but it always makes me feel weird when I see that. And it actually kind of heightens, I think, some of the aspect of it feeling uncomfortable. I think that the acting is, like I said, phenomenal. I think the stories literally are about people being the monsters. Exactly like what Doc mentioned. That's really, I think, the whole point here, because the people are the worst. And we're super bad. I think that this is one of the first episodes I've watched where I felt like there was an accurate portrayal of mental illness in was it 5? The 5? Yeah, in episode 5. I felt like it was very real and palpable. Like I felt it in my soul, and I was like, oh yeah, I get that. I feel that. Of course, there's a whole like supernatural element that comes in with that too, and that's exciting. But then you find out, well, do they both have a mental illness? Maybe. Because
the effects of that illness on her partner is really the point of the story, and her.
Yeah, and I think I always complain that I feel like I don't like the way it's portrayed, but in this one, I felt it seemed real. Even like her warning her before they get into the relation. I'm sorry, I'm just going off on this one tangent, but I felt like they're raw stories, and they're kind of seemingly always left open-ended at the end. So I think it leaves you feeling kind of empty. And that's kind of a weird feeling after watching something. I kind of like it because you usually feel like things need to be wrapped up, but they don't give it to you wrapped up. So I liked it. I enjoyed it too.
Yeah. So I disclosure, I got to see 5 out of the 8, just ran out of time. I do want to catch the remaining 3, and I feel like it felt like each episode got better. So I feel like the last 3 may even be better than the 2 that I really liked. I struggled with this show at first. I'm going to be completely honest. I wasn't really feeling it on the first episodes. The 3rd one got a little better, and I was a little more interested. But I really wasn't getting into what you were describing, Crystal, which is that open-ended kind of, it wasn't this big shock ending. It wasn't a big gotcha ending or, a WTF moment. It was just kind of and I don't know how I feel about that.
To process it. I know. Yeah. See, and I think that's the point though. I think that there's something to that. It kind of messes with you a bit, right? Because I felt the same way. I was like, wait.
Yep. Now, by the time it gets to New York and Plainfield, I was really getting into it. I really love those two. And I got through the first 5, and episodes 4 and 5, I really, really loved. And like you said, even if I didn't like it, the acting is great. There's really some good actors in here doing phenomenal jobs. And I didn't realize it, but there's an aesthetic to each of these. Even though they're each done by a different director, there's a commonality in the visuals. It just feels it feels like the same show. So I really did appreciate that. But the New York one and the Plainfield ones really kind of connected with me. And I noticed that the Plainfield one actually came up with a trigger warning at the beginning of it, where the others didn't.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. But that makes sense.
Yeah. And I like 2 out of 5. But it may be 5 out of 8. So I'm going to have a hard time getting to the end of this, because right now it's on the wrong side of the equation, but it could end up on the better side. And I'm going to have to rely on Jeff, because Jeff is the only one that was able to squeeze in all 8 of these episodes. So I'm just going to pass this back to Jeff and kind of ask him, what about all the 8 episodes?
Well, you said you liked 2 out of the first 5.
Yes, 4 and 5.
I liked all of them.
You liked all 8.
So,
okay.
Did I like some better than others? Of course. There was something about each one of them that was unusual enough to pique my interest, I guess, or that I think make it worth watching. So anyway, and the last ones, I think, wow.
The last ones, of course,
are the better ones.
Yeah, episode 6 is episode 6 is Mermaid. I think episode 7 might have been one of my least favorite ones, but I think it had a really good sort of message in there. And I don't want to say what it is, but you might not get the same message. 8, I loved. It is the most out there, psychedelic, weird, blood-soaked, and it involves falling angels.
Ooh. Oh, that's exciting.
And angel blood is involved, and anyway, so
that
it was
good.
interesting, and
really good.
it ties itself up very nicely. It has a little bit of a narration that ties it up very nicely at the end, and kind of explains what was the point of all that. So as opposed to the other ones where you got to kind of just figure it out yourself.
I'm just going to have to admit that the first one really confused me. It didn't register, and I didn't really get it. I mean, there were interesting aspects of it, and I really like the actors that are in it. But at the end of it, I just went, I don't know what I was watching and why. But when it got to 4 and 5, all that changed.
Yeah, in 1, I thought the tie-in was the skin changer. She says something to him, "How could you do that?" And he says, "Sometimes you have to live with what you've done in order to live." And I think that's what ties the ending in. Now, whether you buy it or not is a whole nother kind of story, but
so each one has,
and she shows up for just a minute in number 3 in New Orleans. She's at the I forget what it is they're having, some kind of extravaganza, a banquet or something. I can't remember what that couple
was. That the nurse?
She was in there, and then she says she's going to nursing school or something. I don't remember what they say to her. And then in the very last one, she's in it, and I'll be damned if I can figure out why she's in it, because I can't say that. I think they could have took her out, and it might not have made any difference. I'm still trying to process what message she was trying to carry in that. But she's, again, a waitress, and she has that New Orleans accent or Florida kind of weird Cajun accent that she had in the first one. So
Louisiana, yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, there's two of them in Louisiana. The Crystal. So I said, whatever you do, make sure you watch 4 and 5, and you did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see why I said make sure you watch 4 and 5? Could you see like?
Oh yeah,
that's what Doc likes.
Oh well, yeah. Actually, 4 is hilarious. That little altar boy was a riot.
That was a great scene.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That was probably one of my favorite scenes. I mean, I just think he was so funny. And I think he was the voice of reason, which is interesting. Out of the mouth of babes, huh? Talking about different sins and stuff. But I really love supernatural stuff. And I really love religious and supernatural combined. So 4 is a big win for me. And I really love lesbians. So 5 was a win for me. Even though I'm not crazy
they were
about
both
zombies,
great actresses.
it worked.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah,
so good.
And it just had such despair in it, right? And man,
yeah,
well, she was so good. Taylor Schilling was so good in her body language, and once halfway through it, when she,
when that happens,
when that happens,
it's so like that. For some reason, that episode was that like really hit home for me because I understood it from both sides. I understood it from Taylor's side because she has some issues and it's hard for her to control herself. But I also understood the wife because, oh God, just putting up with that for all those years and stuff. And it's sad.
Yeah. The revelation of coming out of the room hit me kind of hard.
Yeah.
And then
well, once we found out
then the daughter comes home.
Well, and her naive. Yeah.
And this can't see, and that's why it's so open-ended, because clearly this was not wrapped up because this can't continue, obviously. I mean,
or did it even happen at all? So it's kind of like this.
See, I don't feel like there was an unreliable narrator.
Okay. I thought there might have been.
I didn't feel like that at all. I feel like it was true to the story, and she just went along with the cray there.
It does have my favorite scene in it. We talked about it on the
Is it?
show.
Yeah. Okay, I won't give that away. That was one of mine. Actually, it might have one of mine too, because it had some good effects in that as well.
The basement scenes. Oh my gosh, were scary. All right. Well, okay. So this is going to be available on Hulu starting October 2nd. So, we've covered a lot of Hulu stuff over the past year. We did like a good portion of if not all the ones that, played in season 2 of the Blumhouse Into the Dark shows, and then a couple of other things. So this was a fun addition to that, and look for it October 2nd. So what we're going to do now is wrap things up with our favorite scene. We're also going to do our final thoughts. Our score 1 to 5. I'm totally messing this up, but stick with me. 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. But before you do, please hit the subscribe. If you're still hanging out with us, hit the subscribe button so you can get more of this. Hit the hit the bell so you can get notified, and some comments down below would be awesome. Also, we want to take a moment. We'll take a moment to thank our patrons. Yay! Yes, we have a patron. Look for the link below. And thank you guys for helping to make all of our podcasts happen. We do Gruesome Magazine.
You call it. You call. Okay. No. I was just thinking. You call it patron, and I was thinking Patreon.
Well, it's Patreon,
but
sorry. Your patrons at Patreon. And
I'm like, yes.
You're killing me here. All right, Decades of Horror, Heroes and Droids. All the podcasts are, if it wasn't for the patrons at Patreon, we wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you. Oh. All right, let's.
I'm sorry.
Let's wrap this up. Jeff, you're up first.
Oh, you would do that to me.
I did.
I like this a lot, and I'm going to have a real hard time picking a favorite scene because I keep thinking, I really like. Oh, wait a minute. Now there was. Anyway, I wanted to mention too, the guy, episode 2 starred the guy from Super Dark Times. I don't know if you recognize him or not.
I did.
Charlie Tahan. Yeah. And he plays batshit crazy really well.
Yes, he does a good job here. Yeah.
So I like that whole sort of smoking gun thing. So I'm going to give this as a whole. I'm giving this a 4. I like these enough that I might watch these again because I think there's enough to see, and maybe cultivate. My favorite scene, I'm just going to go with the first one, the whole idea of the skin changer, and I'm going to take when he demonstrates to her who he is.
You know what was cool about that actor though too is it tripped me out how much scarier he looked with glasses than without. And I know that's something silly, but I was like, he's scary with glasses. But when he took off his glasses, I was like, he's beautiful and not scary at all.
He was in Westworld. I forget his name, but he was in Westworld.
Jonathan Tucker.
Yeah, and he was in a Western that I saw too, where he played a really nasty character. He's very good at that. But in here, I thought he showed a wide range of
both
compassion and ruthlessness. Almost at the same time. So anyway, I dug it.
You dug it. Crystal Cleveland, you're up next. Give us your final thoughts, your score, favorite scene.
So I definitely think people should watch it. I think it's a cool series. I don't think it's something that people are going to be scared of, but I think it's kind of spooky. I think it's perfect for, October. Something kind of light. I shouldn't say lighthearted because then people will be like, this was scary. It's more intense, but not too heavy. I guess is what I would say. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5. And my favorite scene is the twisted ankle walking scene in number 5. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh,
I was like, it looks so
wait a minute.
good.
That wasn't twisted. That was snap.
Broke it. Yeah. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
But it looked so good, and it was painful. Like I felt that.
I did too. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The snap too. Just when she. Okay. So again, I saw 5 of them. The first 3 for me were hit or miss. Didn't really. There were elements of it I like, but not necessarily a win on the episode in and of themselves. Episode 4 and 5 are home runs. I really enjoyed both of them. One was New York, and the other was Plainfield, Illinois. Really, really enjoyed those. And I am looking forward to catching the remaining 3.
Me too.
At this point, though, I only like 2 out of 5. Now, that sounds worse than it is because I didn't dislike the first 3. They're not horrible television. They just didn't quite register with me, right? So it was kind of like, but it really picked up with those 2. And again, even though I still loved all the actors, I loved the direction, I loved the atmosphere. So I'm going to give this 3 and 7.75. Just a little bit.
Oh, yay. Good.
More.
Nice.
And I guess I'm going to have to find time for the remaining 3. My favorite scene, and I kind of made a point that this is my favorite scene.
You did. You did.
Is the eyeball in the spaghetti. Eyeball in the spaghetti. Just the whole motion of it and the whole reaction and the whole idea of it. Oh my God. I just couldn't believe that happened. And it was so bloody brilliant. Yeah, it was funny, but it was also kind of really creepy. And it gets worse than that.
Loose.
Yes. The acting in that episode was particularly good. Now, the episode before that just had a lot of elements in it that I really enjoyed. With our CEO that's a complete dick, and how that all played around. I just really like that. I love it. It was probably of the 5 the more Tales from the Crypt-ish. Then the rest
Yeah.
of them aren't. The rest of them are more in the kind of like horror versions of what's that sci-fi show? Black Sunday? No,
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. Yeah, the kind of like really horror versions of that.
Yeah.
They kind of
Yeah.
in a way. It's at least as far as like what you get out of it. But this one, the New York one, was a little bit more on a creep show or Tales from the Crypt than the others. But yeah, check this out. It's October 2nd. It's on Hulu. You have Hulu, certainly, right? It's streaming and video on demand. It's got to be Hulu. Is one of the staples. And they have a lot of really cool content coming out in October, so check them out.
Ooh.
Totally.
Yes, October is going to be so slamming this year. Without theaters, everything is streaming and video on demand, so you need to check these out. All right, guys, if you're still with us, thank you for hanging out with us. Jeff, Crystal, thank you for talking about Monsterland with me. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
A good one.
Yes, it was. This is like good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.